Hi, my name is Adam Farr from TransformYourselfUniversity.com, and on this channel, I show you the secrets of transformation on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. I show you the secrets of how you can transform your body, your mind, and your life once and for all. Today we're going to talk about how the Enneagram can help you get clarity about what the underlying reasons are for your emotional reactivity and your outbursts. You see, when you learn a little bit more about what triggers your anger and why, you'll be in a better position to respond to stress and your environment for the rest of your life. Before we get started, if you find this video helpful and you want to support this channel and see me produce similar content, you could show your support by subscribing to this channel or liking, commenting, or sharing this content on other social media platforms. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you a simple 3-step process that you could use to gain control over any emotional reactivity you may be experiencing by using the results of your Enneagram test and asking yourself a few key questions that you'll be able to use to discover what the underlying drivers are for your persona. When we're talking about managing underlying emotions like anger, frustration, sadness, disappointment, fear, anxiety, what we're really talking about is not just managing the emotions. We're talking about managing ourselves and the emotions that arise inside of us. The goal here is not to control or repress on emotions. Emotions happen. There's not much you could do about it. But what you can do is give new meaning and understanding to the emotions that you're feeling and change the way you respond to them. But in order to manage yourself, in order to have this level of self-control, you must know yourself. You must understand what makes you, you. Anger, frustration, powerlessness, sadness. All these emotions are driven by underlying beliefs, rules, or fears. It's our perception of the event, not the event itself, that makes us feel a certain way in response to what's happening. And when you feel these negative emotions, what you're perceiving is that you or your way of life, your self-control, your personal empowerment is being threatened. We all have a need to feel like we are self-directed individuals, that we're in control of our lives, our relationships, and our environment. When we subjectively perceive that we're losing our sense of control, whether it be conscious or subconscious, we may react in anger, frustration, sadness, negative emotions of any kind. And generally speaking, most of us don't want to live our lives experiencing negative emotion. And so it's not the negative emotions we have to address, but our perceptions of our world and our environment that trigger the negative emotions that we want to address. If you want to change yourself and how you're feeling, you're going to have to learn how to respond to situations rather than just react to your environment. And the first thing you should do is get a better sense of how your past experiences have formed your current personality structure, and what underlying experiences and messages in your past may be responsible for your reactive tendencies. Your reactive tendencies may just be the remnants of a survival attitude you adopted in periods of your life when you experienced traumatic events or prolonged stress. Look, I'm not telling you how to live your life, or that your anger or your stress isn't an appropriate response to the situations that you're experiencing. But what I am telling you is that you could reframe the experiences of your past so you don't get triggered so easily and respond to situations in anger and frustration when it may or may not be in your best interest. And the way to do that is with the Enneagram. For many years, I was ruled by emotional states and I didn't even realize it. I was living in a state of reactivity and anxiety. I constantly medicated myself with distractions to change my emotional states. I was trying to avoid the anger and frustration and anxiety I felt inside every single day. When I started to delve deep into the Enneagram, I began to uncover the parts of myself that explained why I had a tendency towards anger and frustration, or towards being a control freak, or just having a general distrust towards other people. Once I became more aware of these parts of myself, I was able to uncover what triggered these states and change my relationship with the trigger. I was able to change how my trigger for anger and frustration affected me. I did this by changing what the triggers meant. And by changing what the situation meant to me, it changed how I felt inside. I went from reacting to triggers to responding to the exact same triggers with awareness, and it had a huge impact on my life. I use a similar process with my clients where we try to discern what's affecting them and triggering their emotional states, and we try to use the Enneagram to bring new meaning to those triggers so the emotions never really arise, or if they do arise, you're able to respond to them with awareness instead of reactivity. The Enneagram is a typology system. It's like a personality test, but it's unlike any personality test you've ever heard of or taken before. A very simple understanding of the Enneagram is that there are 9 basic types of human beings. And while this is true, in the Enneagram they do talk about 9 basic types, there are a lot more than 9 permutations or variations of human being than the 9. If you interpret the Enneagram as only categorizing people into these 9 basic types, then you're giving into an oversimplification of the system. And ultimately, you're not using it to its full potential. For each of the 9 main archetypes in the Enneagram system, there are neighboring archetypes on either side of the one that may represent you, and you could be a blend of one or the other on the neighboring side, or both simultaneously. In this system as well, there are also the 9 levels of integration or disintegration or growth. And you could be moving up in the levels for your personality type, or you could be moving down. If you're moving up, you are integrating, you're moving into growth. Basically, you're having a good day. And if you're moving down, you're disintegrating, you're moving into a fixed mindset. You're not evolving in the direction that you should be evolving. A combination of your type, your wing, your level of growth, whether you're moving into integration or disintegration, means that with the Enneagram, you could potentially categorize yourself amongst one of over 150 different personality types or snapshots of your personality in any moment, context, or specific situation in time. With this knowledge, it means that every time you experience a conflict, you could use the Enneagram structure to unfold the driving forces that contribute to the outcome of any interaction. And this means that with the Enneagram, you could bring awareness to old patterns and beliefs and begin to change them. If you change your old patterns and beliefs, it means you're changing yourself because you're beginning to know yourself. And when you begin to know yourself, you begin to respond to your environment, to your world, instead of react. And things like anger, frustration, and anxiety become a thing of the past. Developing this level of understanding and awareness about who you are and what makes you you does require a little bit of education and understanding. So I do suggest you pick up a few books on the subject in order to get started. Once you've done the Enneagram test and you have the information in your hand that characterizes your personality and the reasons why you do what you do, what drivers, what fears, what anxieties, what emotions are behind your understanding of the world, then you could start to meditate on your attitude towards past events and occurrences in your life, using the ideas and suggestions found in the Enneagram to shift your perspective and change your attitudes. With the Enneagram, you could consider the underlying beliefs and rules responsible for your attitudes towards events of the past. If you change your perspective of the past, you could change how you respond or react in the future and in the present. You could use the information to consider triggers and circumstances you react to and instead would like to respond to. Again, if you change the underlying meaning behind your rules and your beliefs and trade them out for ones that better support your growth, then you could use this information to improve your emotional state, improve your attitudes, and improve the outcome of your life. If you're interested in taking the Enneagram test, I'm going to leave a link in the description below, and I'm also going to leave links to my top 3 books that I suggest you read in order to get started. I'm Adam Farr, and if you like this kind of content on Transform Yourself TV, just subscribe below and I'll see you next time.